The impact of the AAAS S&T Policy Fellowship Program is only possible because of the wonderful work of the fellows, as well as a solid list of partner scientific societies. And for those partner societies, managing a congressional fellowship is sometimes but a part of their daily duties. Jen Greenamoyer works on Capitol Hill advocacy with the American Institute of Physics in their government relations team, and coordinates also the AIP Congressional and State Department fellowships. Bethany R. Johns obtained her PhD in physics from Clemson University. Bethany has worked as a science policy consultant to the Commercial Space Flight Federation and now works with the American Society of Agronomy, Crop Science Society of America, and Soil Science Society of America. Tonight, Jen and Bethany will discuss their navigation of congressional jurisdictional funding issues, deep space, and the national need for plutonium-238.
Space is a dark and cold place. This image of Saturn was taken by the Cassini spacecraft fueled by plutonium-238. Earth is the bright dot just inside the ring on the upper left. Far from the warmth of the sun, deep space missions must rely on electric generators fueled by radioactive material, plutonium-238. Every deep space probe uses plutonium-238. It is the only viable source of power for planetary spacecraft in areas of weak sunlight. The Mars Curiosity rover uses the largest plutonium-238 battery ever. Now the long-term success of planetary science is in danger because the United States supply of plutonium-238 is running out. With the end of the Cold War and reductions in the need for weapons-grade plutonium, the production of a non-weapons-grade plutonium-238 was also halted in 1988. In 1992, the Department of Energy started to procure plutonium-238 from Russia to augment the supply needed for NASA planetary missions. However, in September 2009, Russia reneged on their contract and does not intend to deliver the existing nor future orders of plutonium-238. Before 2009, the global planetary science community started advocating that the United States must restart the production of plutonium-238, which has to happen at the Department of Energy. It's the only agency authorized to produce and handle nuclear material. We were not privy to the classified information on whether these other agencies besides NASA use plutonium-238. Now remember the world in 2009? The economic collapse of 2008 transformed American politics. We inaugurated our first black president, we had the rise of the Tea Party, and the House and Senate were controlled by Democrats. So in 2009, the Department of Energy requested $30 million for fiscal year 2010 to restart production of plutonium-238. Congress came back wagging their fingers saying, close but no cigar, come back with a plan. You must learn to include others. The Department of Energy will not subsidize NASA missions. This is where our battle begins. We thought we were getting into a battle over nuclear material like the issues regarding Yucca Mountain and Fukushima. But we were stumbling into a congressional Cold War of its very own kind. So the following year, in fiscal year 2011, the Department of Energy proposed a plan to split the cost of restarting plutonium-238. We did what Congress asked us to do. We thought this was a good thing, having cooperation of both agencies. However, this really meant double the trouble. Now we had to lobby 4 different appropriation subcommittees who had jurisdiction over Department of Energy and NASA. We had support from all but one staffer who stood firm on DOE should not subsidize NASA missions.
This is where our army of 3 came together. We had 3 nonprofit organizations that come together to lobby for restart of production of plutonium-238. And we started our March on Washington, if you will, with boots on the ground, and we had this very in-person strategy that we wanted to follow, and we began requesting all of these in-person meetings with different appropriation subcommittees of jurisdiction, and so that would be House and Senate for both DOE and NASA, the 4 subcommittees. And we also targeted geographic allies, so that would be the DOE labs that are going to handle and manufacture the plutonium-238 once we got the funding for it. This is an example of some of the outreach material that we used with Congress. The theme with this is "Don't be subtle." We were hoping to communicate something that was very clear and something that was very tangible, and also create a sense of urgency. When you go to Congress and you have a lot of in-person meetings, it's really amazing what kind of nuggets of information you can gather and bits of intelligence. And for example, one of the staffers that we met with told us that she's more comfortable with the issues of guns and drugs than science. At the same time, we tried to cast a wide net. We mobilized constituents through membership action alerts, and we tried to mobilize the labs and the universities to weigh in with Congress about the importance of restarting plutonium production. As part of this, we found some really amazing allies. Representative Schiff from California volunteered to do an amendment at the Full Appropriations Committee. And we also found an ally that we didn't even realize we had in Representative John Culberson from Texas, who has a love for finding life on Europa, which is an icy moon of Jupiter. But despite all of our activities, we could still only get support from 3 out of the 4 appropriations subcommittees. So we had to evolve our strategy. We moved from DOE only to a sharing to finally all in with NASA. And we did end up getting $10 million of chips worth for NASA to start production of plutonium-238. And it's interesting to note that there was no funding at DOE, and still to this day, there was never any funding provided for DOE funding for this. So looking back on some of the lessons that we learned, show up in person, put down your pitch and listen. You'll be amazed at what you can find out. Be flexible, be willing to change your strategy as you go along, and accept what is true without judgment. For our final message, we feel like this quote works both ways for us, because there was one staffer that we were never able to convince. And so in some ways, one staffer can change the world. And then on the other hand, so can 3 nonprofit employees. Thank you.